Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for SEO Planning for 2018 and talk about how can you prepare. Well, one of the best things you can do is an audit. It's an audit of your website and your SEO and understand really how ready is your site for mobile indexing. How ready is your current mobile site? And really understanding all the things we're going to be talking about today and where your site sits in relation to all of these different tactics and strategies that we have to implement for mobile first indexing. So let's start with talking about technical SEO factors. What are some of the technical factors that we are looking for when we talk about mobile first indexing? And I will say that most of the things I'm sharing with you here, I'm sharing in order of priority of my personal thoughts on priority to get ready for mobile first indexing. So as we go through, these are the most important elements first, and the least important elements probably last. But that again is my personal take on it. So technical SEO factors. So we talked about an MDOT site versus a responsive site. So what exactly does that mean, and how can you know if your site is MDOT or responsive? Well, here's an example of a site that is an MDOT site. So on the left-hand side, you'll see an image there for Harbor Freight Tools, which my dad loves Harbor Freight Tools. And Harbor Freight has an MDOT site. This is the mobile version on the left, the desktop version on the right. And if you look a little bit closer, I mean, they look pretty similar. If you look at these screenshots, you see things like the inventory closeout, you see like same types of products. But if you look a little bit closer, this is how you can tell if you have an MDOT site. Many MDOT sites use an MDOT subdomain, as you see here. m.harborfreight.com is the mobile version. www.harborfreight.com is the desktop version. Now, why did companies ever do this? Well, there's lots of reasons why you might have done it as an organization, but in part, one reason that people did it, as an example, I did a lot of work with Mazda USA, and sometimes they would talk about, well, mobile users don't need the same type of information that desktop users do. We can pare it down because the screen is so much smaller, right? And we can think about, let's just give them the information they truly need on a mobile site. So that could be one reason. But there are many reasons that organizations went this direction. And so I would just say that, it's not uncommon. I mean, almost every e-commerce site I have hit in the past few days, I've started to notice are MDOT sites. And so there could be multiple reasons for that. It could even be the platform they're on, the CMS platform. So really, there are lots of folks out there in this boat. You're not the only person if you have an MDOT site, but this is a great way to check. You can go on your mobile phone and go to your site and see if it has an MDOT in front of it. That's just one way you can check. Now, what does a responsive site look like? Well, in contrast to what you saw with Harbor Freight, this is the Marketing Mojo site. On the left, again, is our mobile site. On the right is the desktop site. And so what you'll see here is, again, they look very similar. And what's happened is on the mobile version, the desktop version is basically just rearranged. It's all the same content, it's just rearranged. Versus with a subdomain, you might have different content showing on the mobile versus the desktop version. And that's what Google's saying is not necessarily great for mobile at first indexing, because if you don't have all your content that's currently being indexed from the desktop showing on mobile, when they make this switch, there's some level of content that will not be showing up to be indexed when they do the mobile first index. So how can you tell if your site is responsive? Well, if you look at it this way, you see, okay, well, it seems to be the same look and feel of the site. And then if you look again closer to the URL, you'll notice it's exactly the same URL, www and www in both cases. So that is a responsive site. It's a site that just simply smushes up nicely. Let me just, when I say smush, I don't want you to think that that means that it's ugly or it runs together. It's not like that at all. It's laid out appropriately, but it takes all of the elements and all of the content and lays them out in a different format just so that you can see them for that particular for that mobile site. Now, one other thing that's really, really important, other than just having an MDOT, moving your MDOT site from MDOT and a separate site to a responsive site, is site speed. So site speed, Google came out over 7 years ago and said site speed is a ranking factor. So hallelujah. When Google tells us that there's a ranking factor, it's helpful for us as SEOs because we know definitively this is something we should pay attention to. Now, how much is it a ranking factor? Well, if you look at this is a study from 2 years ago from Search Metrics, and they take a look at different sites and just see how they're what types of correlation they can find between different types of ranking factor elements like site speed versus other ones, and show here so we can see, okay, well, the higher you rank, is there a correlation with this particular factor and how high you rank? And what you see here is with desktop and mobile, you can see here that for sites that rank higher, their site load time is less. So we know that page speed is definitely a factor. It's definitely impacting these sites. So both on desktop and mobile, right? So it's not just mobile, but it's also desktop. And so you have a tool you can use, and you should really take a look at this tool. This is the Page Speed Insights tool, and it has two tabs, as you can see here. If you put your site into this tool, Google will tell you on a scale of 0 to 100, they'll score you on your page speed load time. And as you can see here, this one's poor. It's only 21 of 100. Now, it will also tell you directly exactly what you need to fix, which is really helpful and where you can save the most page speed load time. Now, I also want to note, though, that this tool works on a page-by-page basis. So as you can see here, I put in someone's homepage.